What is up, guys? Stark here, and we are on the home stretch of the character spotlights, only having a couple left. And in today's character spotlight, I am taking a look at Hector. Finally taking a look at Hector. I know it's been a while, much overlooked, but today I'm finally going to talk about him. So Hector is a Lancer, and he is a 3-star servant, so he'll go up to level 70. And at level 70, he will have 10,200 HP and 6,928 attack. This will rank him 66th overall in HP and 78th overall in attack. If you do decide to max him out completely, he will end up with 15,829 HP and 11,376 attack. So now moving on here to his servant skills. First up is going to be the Tactics C+. Now this will increase all allies' Noble Phantasm strength for 1 turn. This will start at 8.5% at level 1, goes up to 17% at level 10. So it's not the biggest buff out there, but, you know, for a 3-star servant, it's definitely not, you know, the worst one. And 17%, it's an AoE skill. Overall, it's a pretty solid skill. And, you know, it's only a 1-turn buff, so you're going to use it on your burst turn when you're trying to spam your Noble Phantasms. His second skill is going to be the Proof of Friendship C. Now this will target one enemy and have a medium chance to stun them, and it will also have a medium chance to remove one of their charges. So this is a very solid skill. Unfortunately, it's hindered a little bit by the fact that it doesn't have a guaranteed success for either of the skills, but it does start at 60%, which is pretty solid, so odds are you'll get one of the two to happen every single time you use it, and it does go up to 80% at level 10 for both of the effects. So, you know, it does have a really high percentage of working. So overall, like I said, you'll probably get at least one of them to go off every single time you use it. So you're going to get something out of it, and, you know, the off chance, the 1 out of 10 chance that, or I guess 2 out of 10 chance that you don't get either of them, you know, it's not going to happen often. So overall, it's a pretty solid skill. Next up here for his final skill is going to be the Disengage B, which will remove all of his debuffs and will also restore his HP by a little bit. Now this will start at 800 HP at level 1 and goes up to 2000 HP at level 10. So if you do max out this skill, it's going to be a pretty solid buff. Pretty solid HP gaining. You know, 2000 HP is pretty solid considering he doesn't have that much HP to begin with. So he's got like 10,000 HP at max level. So you're getting a fifth of your HP back by using the skill, and it's on a max level. It's on a 5-turn cooldown. So, you know, you're going to be able to use it quite often in the fight, which will definitely help keep him alive a lot longer. Next up here for his class skills. First up is going to be the Magic Resistance B. Now this will increase debuff resistance by 17.5%. And the second one is going to be the Writing B, which will increase quick card effectiveness by 8%. So now for his Ascension. For his first Ascension, he's going to need 30,000 Quanta pieces and 4 Lancer pieces. For his second Ascension, he's going to need 100,000 Quantum pieces, 5 Meteor Horseshoes, and 8 Lancer pieces. For his third Ascension, he's going to need 300,000 Quantum pieces, 4 Seeds of Yggdrasil, 20 Proof of Heroes, and 4 Lancer Monuments. For his final Ascension, he's going to need 900,000 Quantum pieces, 7 Phoenix Feathers, 8 Seeds of Yggdrasil, and 8 Lancer Monuments. And then for his skills, to max his skill from 1 to 10, you're going to need 12 Gems of the Lancer, 12 Magic Gems of the Lancer, 12 Secret Gems of the Lancer, 30 Proof of Heroes, 11 Meteor Horseshoes, 16 Octuplet Crystals, 13 Phoenix Feathers, 1 Crystallized Lore, and 13,600,000 Quantum pieces. So now for his command cards and his Noble Phantasm. For his command card deck, he's going to have 2 Quick, 1 Arts, and 2 Buster. So you can use him in Quick teams or Buster teams, but most of his damage comes from his Buster deck, being able to do a Buster chain. So you do primarily want to use him in that capacity, focusing heavily on his Buster cards. And then for his Noble Phantasm, it is a Buster that will deal heavy damage to all enemies that will ignore defense. And on the overcharge, it will also decrease all enemies' defense for 3 turns. So this is a very solid Noble Phantasm for a 3-star Lancer, and you can pretty much wave clear anything that's not the boss with his Noble Phantasm for most of the stages. So he's really good for farming if you can max it out, and him being a 3-star servant should be really easy to max out. And there is an interlude quest that you could do to power this up, and this will up the damage a little bit. So, you know, if you can do that, get that done as quickly as possible, and you're going to have a pretty solid 3-star Noble Phantasm at your disposal. Unfortunately though, his Noble Phantasm gain is not that good, and only has he only has one arts card in his deck, so it's going to be a little bit tricky for you to actually, you know, get his Noble Phantasm gauge filled. But, you know, if you throw in a few supports, you shouldn't have any issues with that. So next up, we're going to talk about some of the craft essences you can use. So first up is going to be his maximum bond craft essence, which is going to be the Hero's Armament. Now, while equipped, this will increase Noble Phantasm strength of all allies by 20% while on the field. So this is a pretty solid one to use, especially because his Noble Phantasm is his selling point, really. But until you get there, or if you want to just focus on like him doing more damage, there's only a few other options, and that's just to, you know, increase his Buster card performance. So Verdant Sound Destruction and the limited 0 over are your best bets, just to up his Buster card performance, help him do a little bit more damage. So now moving on here to the character and review portion, I did decide to throw out a few different servants than the normal here, although Waver is still on the list. He's just too good not to put on it, so I won't really talk about Waver too much, but some of the other options here I have, first one being Romulus. He's a really good servant to combo with Hector, especially if you have him, you know, powered up to the maximum. So you have pretty much all the damaging buffs you could use here. So with Hector, you have the Noble Phantasm increase, and then Romulus combos with the attack increase, and then if you do the rank up quest for his third skill, you're going to get that Buster card increase, and you can use that on Hector himself. So that's really good. You're also going to give him Guts, which will help, you know, his survivability out a little bit. And then Romulus also has a free Buster card deck as well. So you're going to be getting Buster Chains off pretty often, and overall it's just a pretty solid combination. Next up is going to be William Shakespeare, and he's pretty much here for similar reasons as Romulus, but instead of doing a full team attack buff, he's going to just focus solely on increasing the Buster card effectiveness of all allies, and that'll give you a 40% increase at level 10. So that's really good. It is only for a 1 turn, but you could use it on your burst turn and do, you know, that much more damage. And then his third skill is also really nice as well, because it'll increase the Noble Phantasm gauge, so you could use that on Hector to help his Noble Phantasm gauge, which isn't really, you know, that good. And then you're also going to increase his critical star drop rate, so that'll help, you know, do some more crit damage and things like that. And he also does have a Buster Noble Phantasm as well, so you could use that in for your Buster Chains. So overall, a pretty solid, you know, pretty solid combination. He also has a chance to stun on his Noble Phantasm, so you can combo that with his second skill as well to kind of have like a little bit of a stun lock if you get lucky enough to get him off. Next up is going to be Ushi Wakamaru. Now, she's not really as useful as the other ones in a Buster card setup, but she can be very useful if you're going to use him in a quick setup. And she does have really good skills that combo well with him as well, having her first skill to increase Noble Phantasm gain. So again, that'll help Hector get his gauge filled faster. And she also does have a Charisma skill, which will help increase the attack of all your allies, so you can combo that again with Hector with his Noble Phantasm gain skill. So overall, it's not a bad combination if you're trying to lean more on the quick side of things. And then of course, you know, Waver, I'm not even going to talk about him that much. He's just very good, help, you know, Hector increase his attack, increase his Noble Phantasm gauge, you know, things Waver does best. So yeah, we're not going to touch on him that much. So now for the actual star rankings. First up for his stats here, he's going to get a 2 out of 5. He doesn't really have the best stats, unfortunately. He's got a really low attack stat, considering he's primarily focused on, you know, doing Buster damage. So unfortunately, he loses some points there. But yeah, 2 stars overall for stats. Next up for his skills, he does have a pretty solid set of skills. Maybe I'm being a little bit generous with my ranking here, but he does have a good, you know, set of skills. I can't take that away from him. He's got a, you know, Noble Phantasm boost. And he's got the second skill here for a chance to stun and decrease for charge, and that's a very valuable skill. And then his third skill just heals up. So overall though, I'm going to give him 2.5 stars here for his skill ranking. Next up for his Noble Phantasm ranking, I'm going to give him 3 stars. He does have a very powerful Noble Phantasm if you can set it up properly, dealing heavy damage to all enemies, and then like that ignores defense. So you can use this against enemies that have like defense buffs and things like that, and just wipe them out. As for his survivability, I'm going to give him 2.5 stars here. He unfortunately lacks the evasion and defense of most other Lancers, but he does have a pretty solid third skill which will heal him back up. So if you can max that out, you know, he will be pretty hard to kill. And then overall for his versatility, unfortunately he's not going to be very versatile. needing quite a bit of support to help him achieve any sort of success. And as something of a support character, he really doesn't support his allies that well. His one buff only lasts for 1 turn, and his second skill only does have a chance of working. So he does, lose a few points there. And like I said, he doesn't have the survivability of most other Lancers, especially like the Ku Lancers, who are going to be right here on his level as 3 stars. And his Noble Phantasm is primarily just for damage, so it doesn't do much as, in the way of support there. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to just give him 2 stars overall in versatility. So overall for his ranking, he's going to get a 2.4 out of 5. There definitely are just better options as far as Lancers go, which is unfortunate, but if you do need a AoE damaging Noble Phantasm, you can throw him on your team and make good use of him there. But outside of that, you're really probably going to just want to go for other options. So that's going to wrap up this character spotlight here, guys. I will leave you here with Hector's Noble Phantasm, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.